everybody, Tanya here. Thanks for tuning in. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing this project of a complete bedroom makeover for our daughter. She had chosen this vanity from the stash that I have in the garage. I've just been collecting different pieces, and she wanted me to do this one in a maroon color for her. So we're going to be adding to that the nightstand that I found at the thrift store some months ago. Again, she picked this one out of the many projects that I have sitting in the garage. And so we're going to be doing like a boho sort of vintage type theme, and each piece may not match exactly. However, I am going to do some base color of white and gray and then add some pops of color around the room. This dresser is going to be also part of the project. It's a dresser she's already using in her room currently, as well as this wardrobe type dresser that is currently in her room. So right now they don't look like they match at all, but they certainly will when I get done with them. All right, so jumping right in, the first thing we always need to do is give these pieces a thorough cleaning. Next, I'll be marking these vanity drawers left and right just to make sure they fit in correctly when we're done, and then removing the hardware. We're going to need to cover up the mirror with some plastic and tape and then get right into the sanding. And remember, I'm not trying to completely remove the finish on this. I'm just giving it a good scuff so that the primer and paint will adhere correctly. And after wiping off the dust, we're going to move right into the primer. So I ended up purchasing several colors trying to find the right maroon, and I was surprised at how hard that was. So I ended up mixing two of the colors and getting just the right tone for this vanity. I ended up switching gears with the primer. Instead of rolling or brushing, I just ended up spraying it on. It's a lot quicker that way. Next, I'm going to be mixing some Bondo in order to fill in the holes from the old hardware in the drawers. So along with the walls getting a new coat of paint, the windowsills also need a good sanding and a new coat of paint. This is the current color of the room. It's a little dark. We're definitely going to be going with lighter shades and some pops of color. We've also removed all the carpet that is original from when the house was built in 2000. And Dad is also contributing. He's mudding and going to be sanding this wall to prepare for the beautiful wallpaper. After letting the Bondo dry completely, I'm going back in and sanding the fronts of the drawers and then moving on to the top of the vanity. After wiping away all the dust, I'm ready for the first coat of my custom mix of maroon. So in between coats of primer and each coat of paint, I did a very light sanding. I ended up doing 3 or probably 4 coats to get the look I wanted. And I learned a way of doing it is to keep a spray bottle in one hand while you have the brush in the other. It just makes the paint move around nicely, gets a smoother finish. So while Dad continues preparing that wall for the paper, I'm ready to get my spray gun going. I'm dumping through the filter to keep out any clumps or debris from the paint. And next is the new flooring. For the drawer fronts on the Vanity, my daughter and I picked out this boho style transfer from Dixie Belle. There are a few areas on this Vanity that I'm going to be adding some black gold leafing. So to start, I've got to brush on some gilding adhesive and let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes so that it's still a little bit tacky. I can still feel a tiny indentation from the old hardware holes that I filled in, so I know exactly where to drill for the new hardware. And now I'm ready to reattach the frame with the spindles that hold the mirror. I'm feeling like the curved area of this perimeter frame is kind of missing something, like it needs to be framed in a little more. And I remembered I have these crafting tapes that are decorative, and I just decided to throw it on there, and I ended up loving the way it looked. I nearly got to the end of the area I wanted to cover, and of course I ran out of this design of tape. I went back to Michael's thinking they would have the same one, and they did not. So I ended up taking off the original one and I put another one on, and it turned out just as good. Moving on to the protective top coat. I have a clear wax, a black finishing wax, and a white finishing wax. I'm going to be using the clear wax to do the top coat over all of the areas where I did the black gold leafing, but also I want to give it an aged soft look, so I'm either going to be using white or black to get in those grooves in between those curves on the spindles. And so I'm just going to do a little experiment. I'm going to do some parts black and another part white, and then I'm going to look at both and see which one I like the best. And now for the white wax. So I decided black is the look I'd like to go for. I went in and put a much thicker coat on, and now I'm wiping away the excess. For this mirror hardware, I'm going in with some black gilding wax and just covering the entire surface. And then I let it dry, coming back in and just giving it a little buff. I didn't really like the way the black looked, so I came back later and went over that with some silver gilding wax, and that was just right. So again, with the clear wax, you want to put on a nice solid coat, and then you come back and wipe off the excess. Then you put in your colored waxes on top of that to do your accents. I'm using Dixie Belle's satin clear coat on this portion of the vanity where the tape is, and it did seal it in, but I'm gonna probably come back with some Mod Podge to really make sure that it's attached securely. I'm using the clear wax to finish up the top coat, and I did come back on the edges of this top portion. I did come back with the black wax because there's a couple of tiers there where there's a groove, and I like the way that that added to the piece. I'm using Mod Podge and tissue paper for the insides of the drawers, and you just put a coat of Mod Podge underneath, put the paper on top, and then another coat on top of that of the Mod Podge. And then I take this sanding sponge and just go along the edges. It really makes it nice and crisp. I was a little unhappy with how the paper dried out. It was very uneven and just didn't look like I wanted it to, so I may be redoing this portion later on. But for now, I'm just gonna leave it. Our daughter's nickname is Cece, so I thought I would personalize it just for her. And then I'm adding these little pops of color with these flowers. And then it's time for my official stamp of approval. We are done. And here we have the completed phase 1 of the bedroom makeover. Tina, thank you so much for contributing this beautiful stool. It complements the vanity perfectly. And the wallpaper, Marcy, you did a fantastic job. I'm so glad we had it professionally installed, because it just would have been 10 times harder without you. And a huge thanks goes out to my husband, who spent a lot of time helping us get this room ready for the beautiful pieces that are coming in. That's it for now, and thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.